And so I'm presenting my screen and I am showing you, first of all, I've tried a Kahoot now 2 weeks, and we call them, Teresa Waters and I both teach first grade at Fernhill. And so we have a shared Google Classroom, and I'm teaching reading and she's teaching math to both classes. And so we call it our Fun Friday during our class meetings. And I send a text to the parents the night before. Just please remember, tomorrow is our Fun Friday day and we're going to play Kahoot. Please remember to open 2 tabs. They want to open kahoot.it on the second tab and then have their class video meeting on the first tab. And then I send it out in the directions of our Google screen feed. And so you can see here that I have the directions, and first they will be on their class meeting, second Kahoot.it, and I link it there as well, just in case anybody has problems. One less step so they can open up both. And so when the kids have their second tab, it looks like this. And I haven't opened mine all the way because I wanted to show you a couple things before I got there. But then I have, once they're all kind of in and I'm taking my attendance just as they're popping on, I actually have the Kahoot screen playing with the annoying little music. And then I have the game code there for them to put in. But I wanted to show you the first week, Teresa and I did the same Kahoot, and we played it separately, but we had looked up, there are a ton of Kahoot games on Go Math chapters already created. So you just can type in the search bar, and I'll show you that. So this is one way that you can go to, right here, go to Kahoot. And this is when you log in. It's free, and if you've never used it before, but yesterday when I played Kahoot, I did a getting to know your teacher and a fun one. And there's already templates there, so I'll show you that in a moment. But if you go to the tab up on the top purple bar that says Kahoots, you can actually it'll pop up with some of your Kahoots, and it has a search bar. So you can search right in here. Like I said, you can search Go Math. Go Math chapter, we use chapter 10, first grade, and it'll pop up several for you. I may have some in my favorites, of course. It has a couple here. It has, of course, chapter 5, chapter 10. So sometimes you have to put the first grade, and I have this capital A here that it's probably not liking. So this is one way that you can find there's already established games. So there we go, a list of Go Math. The first week, I played this one with 19 questions. And that was a little long. I went over a little bit, but the kids loved it. And I have to say now that yesterday and last week, it's my highest day of attendance because I'm putting that out on Remind the night before, and a little, reminder telling them on Thursday, don't forget tomorrow's Go Math Day, or excuse me, Kahoot Day, Fun Friday, and they love it. So that's a plus. But now going up here to the top right, there's a create button. And if you hit the create, it, and I apologize if you guys all know this, but just a friendly thing. You can create your own, or so it comes up with templates, and you can create your own from scratch, or they have slides, and it seems to be loading a little slow, but they have slides of different formats that you may like. And I clicked for yesterday, get to know your teacher. And it pops up with one with already, I think there are 10 slides over here on the left, and it has the questions here. And then it has examples. So you can see the green, it says write your own name. So you can write your own name in there and have these teacher names. Or when I created it, I put teachers in our buildings, their names of the teachers from Fern Hill. So I put like my student teacher's name there and Mrs. Waters and Mr. Horn, and then I wrote my own name. It has the circle filled in with a check to show that that's the correct answer. And you can add slides and everything right there. Does anybody have any questions over that before?
And Kristine, I'm just going to jump in for a second. Just so you know, from the student side, if your students have a Chromebook, they can, and you put the link to Kahoot it, like she showed, they can click right from their Google Classroom. Our student iPads also have a Kahoot app on them, but they could also just go to their Google Classroom and click on. So especially, you know, like she teaches first grade, but I just wanted to make sure and mention that both of the student devices that we've sent home are easily accessible. And I also forgot to preface, like, none of this is expected, but all of you are jumping on because you're like, okay, I'm ready for something possibly a little new for my class. So know that none of this that you're going to hear today is expected, but if you want something new.
And how I play is because I really hate for this annoying music to start, but when I play it, after you get done here, you play and the annoying music starts. So you want to use the teach for virtual classrooms. And then when it loads all the way up, it'll fill in this classic. So then you hit classic, and then it gives your kids the code and the annoying music. And some of the music you can turn down, but if you haven't created it yourself, you can't. Oh, wait.
Kristine, yeah, you can mute it up there.
I can, because I created this one. But if you haven't created it yourself, you can't always mute it. So this code is here. Your kids are on this screen. They're putting in that code, and their names will start popping up below here. And good reminder to all, it asks them to put in their nickname. I try to remind them to put in a nickname that I will be able to recognize them by and that it's appropriate for school. And so then once they all get logged in, you hit start here and it pops up the questions. And when the questions get going, they remember are toggling. It's not going to let me because, oh, wait. Because I don't have anybody in the game. But once the questions get put up, they're still trying to toggle between two tabs. So I read the question for them, and then they're able to see the answer board, which is 4 quadrants of numbers there, and or answers there. And so it's really easy. I just repeat, and I repeat the question or read the question, and then I say the answers, and I say the answers with the color of the quadrant, and then I repeat it, and generally it is helpful. If you're in the classroom, obviously, thank you, Monica, this would be posted, thank you, Maddie, this would be posted on your smart board or your board. So I'm gonna start, you guys, Maddie was my old student teacher, you might know this information, but super fun. There's only 10 questions here, but they got to learn some things about me. And most of it I have shared in class. And so like I said, I'm married, and it was a true or false. So you can add that type of slide. And when you add a new question, it actually asks what type of template do you want? Do you want one with 4 answers of multiple choice, or do you want the true and false format? And so you can do it that way. And I also put, like, one of the questions was, are you excited for the new school year to start? And this is actually to get to know you as your new teacher. And so I said, are you excited for summer to start? And there was no wrong answer. It was no, not at all, yes. And then of course the last answer was I hope Mrs. Dabbs is my teacher forever. And so it's funny because they were all over the board, but they enjoyed playing the game. And then it ranks the kids at the end. They get a score based on speed and the correct answer, but I think most of us know Kahoot. But they love playing it in the Google Classroom. It's super fun. The parents, matter of fact, on Monday we do Monday memories, and I asked them to share what their favorite memory was from our first week of Google Classrooms, or something that was a good memory for them at home or just in general. And I had 6 kids talk about Kahoot from the week before, that they loved it so much. So anybody have any questions?
I have a question, Kristine. Yeah. So during our 4th grade Google community, we were doing Kahoot, and it auto chose the names. Is that something that the teacher can choose? Is that faster so that they're not, taking that time to create their own names?
Yes, it is something that the teacher can choose. I always let the kids put their own in, because I tell them they can put their first letter of their name if it's a low grade, or their initials. But that is something that you can totally choose.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I'm just going to jump in for a second. So especially those of you that may not have your own classroom and are looking for ways to support, if this is something that you're like, oh, the community circles that I joined, this would be great, and I'd like to learn how to truly make a Kahoot and have that saved. If you email me, I will set up a session, either small group or one-on-one, to walk through how to create like your own free account and how to then hook that up, because that's a great way to support classroom teachers. So classroom teachers, if you are interested, because I think most of us have instructional assistants or other adults who are in the community circles with us now. If you're like, oh, this would be great, but I need some support getting them made or weeding them out, just let me know, and I'll reach out to those people and hold a just quick PD session on how to do that. So of course you're going to contact me, not Kristine. I hope I'm saying that enough.
There also, let me repeat, the pre-made Kahoots that are there, you can modify them and save them as yours. So you can take out a couple of the questions if you don't want as many. So that's a possibility too. My other recommendation is, I tell the kids during the time of our Kahoot that they have to have their microphones off and muted, because then it allows them to hear me read the questions as they're toggling back and forth between the tabs.
And you can add pictures. You can kind of get as fancy as you want to with Kahoot. The other thing that I want to mention for 3rd and 4th grade, I don't know about lower than this, but 3rd and 4th grade teachers, the Reading Street stories already have Kahoot quizzes made for vocabulary and comprehension, that if you like go by the story title, they're there. So that could be even a fun way to just do some review if you're using Reading Street. No pressure there, but I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that piece too.
Yes, and one other thing I thought of, on the Kahoot, when you create it, you have more control over each slide and the time that it is posted for the students. When you are using one that's already been created, sometimes you can't modify the timing. It depends on the settings that the creator has set up. But this was a pretty easy one about me. So I only had the slides about 30 seconds. Last week was a math one, and it was kind of long. I think it was set up for like 2 minutes on each slide, and you can skip it, or when everyone answers, it automatically moves to show the students the correct answer. So that's one thing you can modify if you're creating your own. All right.
Questions on that?
Sorry, I don't know about Spanish vocabulary on Kahoot.
Jacqueline, while Christine's talking about dance part. Oh, Chris.
Oh, they do have a lot. They do have a number of things in Spanish. What you do is you go to the Discover area, and then you can just type stuff in. You can put in colors. I just sometimes write in Espanol or Spanish, and
Yep.
a bunch of different things will pop up. And you can also put the grade level. So yes, they do have it.
Yep.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
But I don't know about for calle. I don't know if your question about vocabulary was the calle related or reading or just in general. But they do have, in general, they have them.
Awesome.
Perfect. So I will switch over to dance party. The first thing is to highlight, I do a Granny Wacky Prize at the end of every class meeting, and I tell them, we usually like close our community circle routines, and I tell them that if you want to stay and do the Granny Wacky Prize, fantastic, but if you need to log out, feel free to do that at this time. And I switch it up between Go Noodles, Granny Wacky Prizes, and Just Dance from either Go Noodle or the YouTube, and I use the Just Dance Kid versions. And so I do those at the end of class meetings, and the kids seem to really like it because, of course, I'm up dancing. And full disclosure that the other day my son and husband were taking a video of me dancing from behind because they thought it was so funny that I was dancing. But it was not pretty either. And the second piece is when I teach ECRI in the classroom, I set a timer to keep the kids focused so that they know at the end of that ECRI time, we always get a Granny Wacky Prize if they've earned it with their groups. And so this week I did my digital lessons, and I actually, at the end of my ECRI, I included a Just Dance in their assignment. So I linked it right in there. This is Friday, and again, on Fridays in my classroom after ECRI, we always have a dance off, and we do walk to read. So we have a competition between Miss Waters and Mrs. Dabb's class. So I included it here. The other way that I've been including it is when I'm getting finished with my ECRI lesson in my recording, I'm actually assigning them a Granny Wacky Prize. I'm not doing it with them, but I'm telling them, I've told them to play rock, paper, scissors with a family member, or to go and do the Jacko spin one. And so I'm just pulling ones that they could do alone or do with a family member. So I'm assigning them that way. Any questions about that? All right.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this part of the recording.